Okay, for this technique I'm going to show you how to do some different trees, like these little pine trees here in this design. Maybe this tree. This is a very easy tree to do. These trees are pine trees, but they are painted in completely different than these trees are painted in. These are some more of those bigger, taller trees like is on here. But these trees are all painted in completely different. So we're going to work on these styles of trees right now. So let's start with this tree right here. So you basically just want to draw your triangle shape for your tree, however big you want it to be. And then you want to decide where you want some rows. And then you can just start painting your tree in. I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to grab a flat brush and some green paint. And I'm just going to side load my brush. And I'm going to come in and just kind of do almost a little wiggle, like a scallop. So there is one row. And then you'll want to do the next row out here. And come out a little bit past it. And if you want to, you can double load your brush and put some darker on the other side. And just work, oh, probably weren't on camera for that, sorry about that. And just work your way up to however many sections you want to have in your tree, and then when you get to the top, just give it its little point on there. Okay? And then you can come back and add your shading and stuff. So how I did this one, I shaded underneath each section. And then I just brought some highlight of a lighter color out on the outside edges. And you can do this with a round brush or I just brought some lighter stuff on the outside, on this one side, brought it in. Probably want to go down to a smaller brush than what I'm using here. And just pull some strokes in. Give your tree a little bit of texture with it. And then you'll shade underneath with a darker color. I would actually go all the way across with this lighter color, or maybe mix it with my base color to make this side not as dark, but you kind of need some little strokes going on over here. All the way across the tree, and then come back and really lighten this other side. You know, add a little bit of white to it and get it a little bit lighter color, whatever color you're going to be using. And then you want to shade underneath your sections. Of course, I'm doing that very quickly, but you want to take your time and make your highlights and everything pretty. You could also highlight it just by floating on those edges if you wanted to, if that's easier for you. You can just float on those edges all the way across, and then lighten up this side and do your shading underneath. I'll do just a quick little shading under there, just to kind of show you. It's a messy tree. It's not very pretty. Probably should have got a smaller brush here. Not quite as dark as what this color is right here, but you just shade underneath, and this is where you can kind of help form the shape as well. If you don't like the way a tip on one of your rose looks, then you can fix it with your shading. Oop, focus there, and then you can shade down this side. You would want it to be dry. And shade down this side. This is your shaded side, and I just washed every bit of my float right off of there because it wasn't dry. And then I shaded down this side, and then just a little bit more of a highlight on that outer edge out there. Put your star on top, you're good to go. But that's how you create a little tree like that. That's a fun little tree to add to a cute little Christmas design or winter design. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do trees here. They're done with the same style of the same technique. These are just green and these are blue. So, you know, it's just depends on what colors you want to. This was just an all blue project that I did, so I made my trees blue as well. When you're doing these in the very distance back here, you take your base coat color and barely darken it, just barely, and get those shadowy trees back there. And as your trees come more forward, they can be darker. Okay, but since I have green here, I'm just going to go with some green ones. Okay, so for these trees, I like to use a filbert brush. Okay, just a filbert. Let me wide angle out a little bit here. Okay, and so I'm just going to load my filbert brush with some paint. Okay, I like to decide where I'm starting with my tree, so I'm going to start right there with it. Now, when I start at the very top, I'm on the very edge of this brush. The very edge of it. Okay, I'm just going to start by doing a few little dabs. If you need a tree trunk all the way down, you can draw one all the way down to wherever you're going, if that helps you. But we're just going to do a back and forth motion here. And then you just start giving a little bit more pressure as you start forming your branches. Always coming from that center point, so if it does help you to make a line there, and I'm just dabbing this in here. We'll come back and fill in a little bit, but right now we're just getting the form of the tree. And all the way down to the ground. A darker green would probably be better for your starting color. And now I'm just going to come back in and add a little bit in here to fill in, especially in through the center. We do not want to see that line. And this is just with a filbert brush. Just tapping it and blending it, and then you can add lighter colors on there. A very tiny little layer up there at the top, and then you're just coming down the tree. The same way, if you're doing snow on a tree, you'll do the snow the same way. And with the snow, you can pile the snow up in certain areas and really give it a nice snowy look. Okay, so I'm going to grab some white. Actually, I don't have white, but I have warm white out here, so I'll put some of it on my palette. I think painting them in with a filbert brush is super easy, but I have a couple of other brushes over here that will make really nice trees as well. So I've got warm white. I want to put some up there, and then I just want to figure out where I want to have my snow on my tree, and I'm just going to tap it on there. It's going to fill in maybe a few places in the middle. You know, it's going to gather in some of the heavier places. And if you lost any of your branches, this would be a time before you add the snow to go back in with your dark color and tap a little bit of the dark back in there. And then you can have it kind of built up down there at the bottom, you know, where it's setting in the snow. So we'll just add some snow down here. Okay, so that's how you can add your snow, and you'll want to go back a couple of times because white will fade in there pretty heavily. So, you know, you'll want to keep one side a little bit lighter than the other side, depending on which side your highlight is coming from. So you can see on my blue ones here, the highlight side is coming from, it's on this side because the moon is shining that direction. Okay, so that's how we can do those trees. Those are pretty easy, but I want to show you how to do them with another brush here. I have these brushes. These are Mezzaluna brushes by Dynasty, and they make some pretty good looking trees, just similar to this. So I'm just going to put a trunk in here real quick. Just kind of give myself a guide. I'm going to load up with a little bit darker green on this one. I'm using this brush dry, and it comes in several sizes. This is like the extra large size. I could probably just go down to I'm on the very corner of the brush. I could probably go down to a medium or just a large brush. And I'm going to tap and work my way down this tree, the shape of the tree. Ooh, that's a really long branch there. And I'm going to go a little bit darker in the center, not too much. And tap that tree in. I'm going to wipe the paint off and go into my lighter green and add some of this. This creates just an awesome texture on these trees. So if you want trees that have a little bit more evergreeny type look, the trees that I remember as having a live Christmas tree in the house, my dad would always go cut one out in the woods somewhere. Okay, wipe that off, and then you can go into some light color and create maybe a highlight side, or even add some snow on this one as well. So I'll go down to a smaller Mezzaluna and add some snow on here, but look how quickly you can add some texture. If you don't have these brushes in your supply, you really need them because you can do so much with these. These are excellent dry brushing brushes, and look here how they take care of texture on these trees. My mat board keeps wanting to bounce here a little bit. So you'll want to put snow all over your whole tree, and then come back and create your brightest areas. Got a little bit too much there, but I can come back with some green and fix that. So don't feel like you know, if you get something in there you don't like, don't feel like it's ruined. Everything is fixable. It's just paint. You just go back a step or two and bring it back out. So that's how you create a evergreen type tree with these Mezzaluna brushes by Dynasty. And they clean out so easily. One of the things I really like about them, they are a bristly brush, but they're a little bit softer than some of these other really stiff bristly brushes. And you can use these kinds of brushes right here to do that first tree that I did. To do this tree. You can use deerfoot brushes and things like that to create that tree. So, alright, I want to show you how to make these trees real quick. These trees are a little bit more, I don't want to say involved, but they do require a little bit more work. So let me put a little bit more of my forest green back out here, and my white, or my warm white. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. And I'll show you how I painted those trees in. Or I'll put a lot of white out. Whew, that was a lot. Okay, so I'm going to paint my tree branches in. You can use brown. I think I originally used brown on mine. That is one of the few designs of mine that I did not make a video for. So I'm going to draw my trunk, and then I'm going to draw some branches coming off of my tree. Like this. I know those are kind of fat, but I'm just kind of hurrying so this doesn't take so long. Okay, that kind of gives you the idea. You want a branchy type tree, but where it looks like it's coming down and going out. You know what I mean? Okay. Alright, so then I'm going to take my round brush, a little bit larger round brush. This is a size 4. I'm going to load up with my green, whichever green I'm going to use. And I'm going to tip into my white. I will touch my paper towel a little bit. This is probably too big of a brush for this small of a tree. So I tell you what, let me go back down to my smaller round here. Load up with my green. Tip into some white. And this particular tree requires a little bit more effort to make. So you're just going to do each branch individually. Oops. And you'll bring them all together. And you know, when you get it painted, if it looks like it needs an additional branch in there, you can certainly add an extra branch. We're going to come back all the way to the middle here. I feel like this one needs to be a little bit longer. Stick out a little bit farther. So you'll go through to every single branch that you painted in and do these little strokes pulling back. You don't want to just divide that branch. So you don't want to just stroke like this on each side. You got to stroke on top of it as well. And you're going to go all the way to the trunk. We have to do the trunk as well. These little dabs on here. I'll do this side, and then I will come back and do the other side when I get it painted in. I grabbed a little bit more white, so it's, and then you can fill in places where you think you need to fill in. With this one takes a little bit more time, but I think it makes such pretty trees. And then once you get all your branches painted in, that's when you can really look at the form of it and see what it needs. that dark green in here. That's just half of the tree. So you definitely want to do the other half. I'll do just a small part, maybe this bottom branch down here. We can kind of start seeing how it comes together. Just little dabs, pulling strokes back to that line that you made. And then when you put your snow on here, you'd want to do it in a very similar fashion. We got the bottom of the tree down here that will come out just a little bit. We can always shape that as we go, and then you'll dab in the center here and get your tree form. You'll put some on top so it just doesn't look like twigs sticking out. So I'll bring this one over here because these trees take a little bit of time, but you're going out but up. Does that make sense? The branches are coming, when they're coming out, you kind of want them to go up so that as you're stroking it, see, as I get this done, you want strokes on top here that are going to start helping you form the shape of the tree a little bit more. Like I did here, they're on top in the front. So after I got all my branches done, I came back and did a couple of layers, you know, going up to the top. And that gives these trees their form on here, and I think they are just really fun, beautiful trees. It's more helpful if your branches are all done, but you will just do a couple of layers going up this way. All of your branches should go up, so everything should be, you know, pointed up as you paint it. You know, and you can fill in here and add some more as you go up and paint all of this in with your little dabs and form your tree. Okay, everybody get that? I hope that was helpful, because I can tell right now that the top of this tree needs to be way up here because I had that branch like really, really long. So we want our tree to be up like that, and then we put, after we do our branches, we do the part on top, which is all of these layers on top. Okay? And I usually do them with white a couple of times to really make it look like snow. Okay. I think that kind of gets us some good ideas of trees. You could also do some bushes that way. Make some bushes that are a little bit more detailed. But there are some trees, and I did have a few people ask how to make trees, so I hope that covered a good assortment of trees there for you.